Okay, Steve Colescott here, elitefts.com. We're here with Zane Geeting. We're going to be talking about a variety of topics, most of which both of us are big fans of the TV show Walking Dead.
Yeah, great show.
So I want to find out some of your views on that. What do you like about The Walking Dead?
Well, I'm a horror movie fan, like through and through, zombie movies, love that stuff. So, you know, when they made a series about it, at first I was kind of leery of it, like, oh, geez, it's going to be cheesy, you know, like what zombie movies aren't, but, you know, whatever, cheap, low budget, but you know what, and I was really impressed when I saw it. It's just, that whole genre of movie has always just done it for me ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah,
so.
That first episode, it seemed like the quality of something you see at the theater.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was like a movie.
And the characters,
awesome.
The characters drew you right in.
Good acting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know, who's your favorite character on the show?
Probably Daryl, the redneck dude. I like him.
Good with the crossbow.
Yeah, the crossbow.
Good with the knife for up close fighting.
Mm-hmm. The crossbow is ingenious. You know, you don't want to make a lot of noise. Perfect. Although, I'm kind of impressed how fast he reloads it.
Yeah.
Kind of got to test that.
Reusable ammo is always handy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But, yeah, he just seems to be the most equipped to deal with the situation at hand, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't ready for a zombie apocalypse.
You know, if a zombie apocalypse were to break out right now, which 3 Elite FTS team members or associates would you want as part of your survival crew?
Okay, well, you got to have Josh McMillan. Josh McMillan has an arsenal that is, like, unparalleled. This guy has more guns and body armor and slightly borderline crazy, but he's totally going to be a go-to guy. And then, second guy, I don't know. I might take Harry Selko. He seems resilient, you know, the no shoe thing. I mean, I think he's built to deal with the elements well. Can probably get him with me.
Okay, and a third?
Third, oh boy, man, you got me. 3 people. How about you, Steve? You want to come with me?
You know, I was kind of hoping you'd go. You need someone that's fast and wiry.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, you're into it, so you know what it's going to take.
And I think it's safe to say that Dave Tate, he would slow you with that hip of his. He's food.
Yeah, that's.
He's basically he's going to slow them down. He's going to be a little buffet that helps us get away.
Yep, that's about it.
Sorry,
Dave.
Would you say that it's safe to say that Joey Smith may be the Daryl of our crew?
Yeah, well, you know, he does have all those, like, fabulous redneck inventions he comes up with, his belt tightener and his knee wrap strings and everything. He could probably come up with some crazy zombie traps.
Or is Tim the Daryl and he's Merle?
Yeah, that's probably more accurate. Joey's going to lose a hand and...
Exactly.
My boy Tim going to hook us up.
Okay, of course, speaking about The Walking Dead, kind of pulls us right into talking about deadlifts, which specialty of yours.
Yeah, that's what they tell me.
What do you have that makes you a good deadlifter?
What do I have? Nothing. Good work ethic. I like to do hard things. I was not a good deadlifter when I started. You know, I worked hard at it all through high school and stuff, but I never really had any real genetic advantage to it or anything. It's just something that I wasn't good at, so I trained it hard and got good at it.
Okay. And what are some pointers for helping someone choose their style between conventional and sumo? What would you look for to help them make that call?
You know, there are things that come into play, like, you know, the length of your limbs, the length of your torso, things like that. I've got a long torso, so it's hard for me to stay upright when I deadlift. So, you know, I went with the sumo because that way I could move my stance out. I could stay more upright. When I pull conventional, I tend to get rounded over a lot. But, you know, I think people need to train both either way. But, I mean, regardless of that, I think the biggest factor is what you're comfortable with.
Okay.
I mean, where you can get into the best position.
Okay. When doing a deadlift, what do you do in your mind and physically when you approach the bar?
Really, I don't get fired up as much as a lot of guys do. A lot of guys get a lot of fire. They get, you know, you'll see them yelling and whatever. Not that I don't think that doesn't have its place at all, But especially being a sumo puller where there's a few more things to think about technically, I try and just really focus. I try and block everything out except for the task at hand. And I just run through my mental cues of what I want to do over and over, you know, especially if there's something I've been lacking on. Like, you know, I've pulled a couple of big deadlifts recently and dropped them because my hand drags my leg so bad.
What's that mental checklist?
So, okay, like when I first walk up, the first thing I think when I'm coming to the bar is that everything's tight. Okay, and you'll see me if you watch when I stand there. I'll place my feet, you know, make sure I got the right angle on those, and then I really tighten up my whole body. You'll see me actually kind of like wiggle my hips like a little dance move, but what it is making sure that all my muscles are tight. Then I focus on my knee angle, sitting down, loading the gear, really squeezing the bar is a big one for me now, so that's one that I really play over and over. And then the last thing before I go, arch my back hard, get my head back, and then spread the floor. So, I mean, there's quite a few things, but sumo's a lot more technical than conventional, you know.
And, you know, I'm sure you've gotten a lot of emails that talk about the hip wiggle has gotten you a great deal of fans.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
A couple of them are even female.
I don't think so, but that was nice of you to say.
Can you give us some grip advice? You mentioned the bar pulling out. And as far as grip advice, do you know people that do the hook grip? Have you experimented with the hook grip? And who would the hook grip work best for?
Yeah, I have been using the hook grip, actually, especially for all my conventional training. I've been using it. With sumo, I'm a gear whore, so it's really hard for me to get to the bar as it is, and I found it nearly impossible to set the hook grip that way. But for conventional, it's worked tremendously for me. It works, obviously, for anybody who's got a grip issue, but really what helps, if you got long fingers, long thumbs, skinny hands, you can really use your hand almost like a strap. Almost like, yeah. So, you know, I mean, it's not for everybody, and you got to be able to deal with a lot of pain to use it. I've done well with it up into the 600 so far. Some of the guys are telling me once you start pulling in the 7s with it, things change. So we'll see how that pans out for me.
And what are some of your personal favorites deadlift assistance movements?
You know, I get asked about this a lot, and really my favorite thing for a deadlift assistance is rack pulls and block pulls. I mean, it's just deadlift variations. But one that has helped me a lot that's kind of, you know, away from the regular movements, with my sumo pull, I've done a lot of safety squat, bar squats off of a box, set it about the height that I start my hips at on the deadlift. So I basically try and emulate that stance. I use the safety squat bar because it tries to force me forward. I have to arch hard to keep my position. And it just seems to be a way that I can train all those muscles without really taxing my CNS hard.
Okay. And how do you balance in your programming the squat and deadlift training?
You know, off season I do most of my stuff light anyways. I believe in doing a lot more rep work, you know, building quality muscle mass. So that way I don't really have to, I just kind of look at Prilipin's table and make sure that I'm in the right percentage range, the right volume range. And I just kind of do things that way. As I get closer to a meet, I have Carol do most of my programming. And he sets the deloads and everything, but as we kind of talked about yesterday, I think you do have to be able to make adjustments on the fly. So basically I let him set out the map, you know, to follow, and then if we have to make some detours along the way, like if I'm feeling a little bit beat up for a deadlift session, I'll, you know, get a hold of him and say, hey, not feeling so hot this week, what do you think, how should we tweak it, and we'll just kind of put our heads together and go from there.
And does he set up blocks where it's more deadlift emphasized or more squat emphasized?
Oh yeah, definitely. If I need more work on one thing, like, you know, in my first meet in full gear, I squatted 750 and I pulled 716 or something like that. I squat 749, pulled 716. So, you know, most guys obviously have a way bigger gap between their squat and their deadlift, especially with the gear these days. You should be able to squat a lot more. So after that, he put together one that had more emphasis on the squat. I wound up squatting 800, pulling 725. So I still made progress on my pull, but we really focused on the squat and, you know, made it work that way. And that worked well.
Okay. What's your current deadlift number and what are your goals?
My current deadlift is 755, which I didn't cut at that meet. I weighed in at like 234, which is where I normally cut from to 220. But I feel that I'm strong enough to pull 800 now. It's solving the grip problem. So my goal this year is to really solve the problem with my hand dragging my leg, get that right, and pull 800 this year.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Steve.